everyone. Good evening to us all, and it's a blessing to have everyone here. We've started today's live session, and I'm pretty excited about today because I know that each and every one of us is going to be blessed. And so today we have a very, very special guest who's going to be a part of us, and I can't wait. Very soon we'll have our guest joining. Okay, so she's already here, and I'm really excited to have God's servants bless us. And the last time I met this woman of God was in Kane Westy, and she blessed us mightily. And I'm excited about today because it's going to be a really wonderful time in God's presence. So I'll just wait, just try to get her to join in. Okay, so I'll just wait for her request to join in and then we can start. So let me just read her profile. So the profile of A.S. Joy-Phillipe Bruce. So Episcopal sister, which is the same as a lady bishop. Dr. Joy Bruce is a lady bishop and the senior pastor of the Fountain of Life Cathedral, Aidiase, which is part of the Anakazu Assembly's denomination of the United Denominations of Lighthouse Group of Churches, founded by Bishop Dag Heward-Mills. So she also, let me calm down, she's also an itinerant minister under the Dag Heward-Mills ministry, traveling, preaching, teaching, and distributing books by Bishop Dag Heward-Mills throughout central and northern Ghana. So our guest holds a PhD in animal nutrition. She and her husband returned from Norway in 1995, and were sent to start the Lighthouse Chapel in Tamale, where they lived for 15 years. And they were transferred to Kumasi in 2010. She's dedicated her full life to serving the Lord and working in His house. She's joining us. So she's happily married to Bishop Patrick Bruce of LCI Bantama for 33 years. So this is a woman who has a lot of experience and she's about to bless us. We're excited to have you.
Hey, hi Abnak, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Mom. How are you too?
I'm doing great.
Awesome.
By the grace of God.
We thank God. I think the last time I saw you was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
University, yes. ICGC.
Okay. Time flies. Time really flies. I remember that. You're
Thank
doing
you so
well.
much for always doing a blessing.
Hey, it's an honor to be invited.
Thank you. But how are you doing
my
today?
network that is cutting? Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you. Just perfect.
Okay, great. Great.
How are you doing, please?
I'm doing great though. God has been good to us, and I believe He's been good to you as well.
Yes, please, Mom. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me onto your program.
Thank you for the honor to have you here. It's a great honor for us. So we're excited.
Okay.
And your PA told me that the topic is very interesting. Too close for comfort.
I was excited. I wondered what you were, what you had in mind.
I just knew it would be the perfect topic for you. I just knew it would be the perfect topic for you. And I'm so excited to have you here so we could just bless the lives of all our listeners today concerning the area of boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was just telling them about what you do, how long you've been married, and all of that.
Okay.
I hope you would say such a great example to look out. So we are speaking on too close for comfort.
That's right.
What is your idea of boundaries? Should there ever be boundaries in a relationship? And we're not just speaking about even a beloved, but we're speaking about a guy and a fellow lady.
That's right.
A Christian brother and a Christian sister. How far should they go? Even in being friends, then we can shift into the area of a relationship as well.
Okay. I think I really like the place where you are starting. because I think this topic is relevant, as you're saying, not just if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
There's something that we call platonic relationships. A platonic relationship is where you're just friends. You're just ordinary friends. There's nothing to it. You're ordinary friends. But even in those kind of relationships, you need to set boundaries for yourselves.
Okay.
Because you are friends, but you are also, before you were friends, he was a man and she was a lady. And I think you should just never lose sight of that. You see, you should never lose sight of that. Attractions can come up at any point in time over anything. And there is something which my husband calls love cancer.
Okay.
And he uses it to describe something. You see, if you spend a lot of time with somebody, especially a lot of alone time, a lot of close time, a lot of sharing and talking, a certain kind of love will come up, between you. And he calls it a cancer because cancers are things that, grow very fast, grow very large, grow out of proportion. They seem to be even unreasonable. So there you are, this is your friend, and suddenly for 1 week you're at a workshop or you are at something, and for 1 week you are really into each other. And before you are aware, something that shouldn't take place is taking place.
Okay. Okay, so how about ladies who say, oh, this is my male best friend. So she has a male who was like her closest friend. They do everything together, they share everything together. They have boundaries, but some can go as far as even giving their besties a kiss on the cheek and say, oh, we are that cool. I can go to his room and sleep on his bed because he's my bestie. How far should besties go?
You see, it happened. I mean, what you're describing is something that is really, really, really common. It happens so much. But you see, you need to understand something. And when I was young, I believed those things. I went to school. I was in situations where there were so many more guys than girls. My best friends were guys, things like that. And I'll say, oh, well, these are the besties that I have. But you are still a girl and he's still a guy.
Okay.
So that fact you cannot run away from. And I want to use an example, to just describe what I'm saying. Okay. At a certain point, I just said to myself that, look, this menopause putting on weight is becoming too much. So I cut it out. It's like, if you're a chocolate, we're not eating you. We're not buying you. We're not having anything to do with you. I have no problems keeping my, keeping my promise. Then Mother's Day came along. And some very nice people brought me Mother's Day hamper and so forth. And this Mother's Day hamper, I hadn't even opened it and I could see the chocolates winking at me, and saying hi.
Oh, yeah.
And I was busy, so I didn't open the, I didn't unpack the hamper. I was very busy and I was working with one of my young ladies. We were working on something and we had a deadline. So this basket was just standing there. And initially it was not a problem. It wasn't a problem until we had worked for hours. And it was on the third day of work. And you begin to think that I better pamper myself. I've worked that much. I should do something. Suddenly this chocolate was just, I'm here. Before I knew it, I'd leaned into the basket, picked one out, and I told the young lady, we're going to eat this. And we ate it. Why am I doing What do I mean by this example? The guy that you're sitting with, who is your friend, he's not thinking about anything. You're not thinking about anything. You are there. Day 1, day 2, day 3, month 1, month. But you see, you're too close. That chocolate was too close. That girl's too close. Or that guy is too close. It just takes one, thought. You see. Yeah. And somebody may say, oh, I'm sure you were longing to eat chocolates. No, I wasn't. That's the whole point. I wasn't. I hadn't eaten chocolates in months and I wasn't thinking chocolates. Are you seeing it? So yes, the guy is your friend. He's not thinking anything. But you are too close. You are there all the time. You're there all the time. Or he's at your place all the time. You see, so that is what has brought the temptation. You're just too close. So you put the borders and you just keep them, recognizing that each of you is human and you're fallible. Yeah. And because of that, you just put it there. You just put it there. You know, the scripture says, flee youthful lust, fight many things, including Satan. Yeah, many things. You are supposed to fight. I mean, Satan, if you can imagine Satan, you should fight him. But your own desire, run, you know. So when you hear that, you can see that, no, that you shouldn't come too close. Shouldn't come too close.
But how about if I'm too sure of myself and I know that, well, this is my bestie, he is not my type, and so I'll fall for him.
Yes, so for you, this your bestie, he's not your type. But you see, when it comes to physical relationships, physical things for the men are physical. They're physical. It's just light on, light off. So it's not a matter of, you know, we the women, we are the ones who are, I mean, slow cooker. We need something to just, we need to be in love with the guy. We need to have certain feeling. The guy he doesn't need that. It's just a light on, light off. You see, so this brother who has not thought things, one day he has an erection and that's it. And we are dealing with a whole lot of we're dealing with great situations, you know, that are coming out of things like that. Because the girl doesn't understand that she is the slow burner. The guy is the instant cook. This is the microwave. This is just the on, 2 seconds is done. You are the one who's the electric stove that you gotta wait 5 minutes. You are coming. Very different physiologies. Yeah. And this is the source of it. So you need to recognize that. So even though it's true, you're lying on his bed, he doesn't have any bad intentions, you know, for you. But then you have the figure of a woman. You see, and suddenly his eyes are like, that's a woman there. You see, and then we're in trouble.
So everyone around us would recognize that, we are probably a lot close. We don't like each other. There are no feelings, but people think we look good together. Does it put us in that place of comfort where we feel like, if we are good enough, then maybe we could give this a try? What do you think about people coming up with stuff like that? Christian brothers and sisters, they're very close. Maybe the MD and assistants, because they work a lot. They have to do a lot of phone calls and, you know, connect a lot more. Then all of a sudden, people are like, hey, we like the way you guys work together. You guys look good. But then I found out that lots of these relations end up being ruined because they didn't even find love for themselves. So, what do you think about?
I think that when you're going into a relationship, you need to take your sense with you. You need to take your head with you. And so if people are saying you look good together, you know something, the effect of the good looks, it ends here. It doesn't mean much. Yeah. You see, those good looks, I mean, it's just, I don't even know what to call it. So they are on the outside, and sometimes it's your friends who mean you well. They don't necessarily mean you bad, but that's how the Christian community is. We're always excited. Hey, have you seen that? These people, they've been working. Hey, they'll be nice together.
I'm telling you.
If these people, these are your friends, they are not your enemies. They're saying something to you. But sometimes you need to just use your head. Use your head. Go into this with your head. Don't leave your head, you know, aside. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because, first of all, there are situations in which it's not wrong and it's not a problem. And maybe you're the kind of girl who has said no, 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 and I mean no. And you've said no until you don't even think and you just say no. You know, you're approaching the stage where now you got to think about relationships. Use your head. So maybe if your friends are saying it, you should think. I had friends who spoke. And I remember that I was livid. I was really, really angry. And they had said to me that I had said the person I have married now was interested. And I was coming from a background of him just being my friend. And I said, it's just my friend. But these very close friends of mine, who eventually, one of them, you know, they became my bridesmaids, they could see from probably the body language, probably the, you know, that I wasn't as immune as I was claiming. And I remember we were in Volta Hall and we were walking down the middle of Volta Hall and I had a blast and I really blasted them. You people, you are so some way. You're very some way. This guy is just been my friend. And there you guys are. Well, 2 weeks down the line, I was thinking, 2 weeks down the line, I was like, these girls, Charlie, it's true. That guy, I like him. You see, so they were right. They were right. However, that doesn't mean that as soon as your friends start to speak, you should just go with it. That's not what I'm implying. I'm talking about the opposite, where you're not inclined to go with it when you should.
Okay.
You get it?
Okay.
Yeah. But as you're saying, the example that you give of two people who are in the same Christian ministry, working together, doing things together, they should know that they may be opening doors that they shouldn't open. Especially if one or both of them are in relationships. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So with friendship, what boundaries should be set for a guy and a lady relationship?
For guys, for a friendship between a guy and a girl, I think you need to give yourself space. And when I say space, I'm thinking in terms of time. You shouldn't be there at early in the morning, very late in the night. You should be able to live normal lives. You should also be able to have other friends and other friendships. You should not have an exclusive relationship where we are the only two friends. You know, we do everything together. We do everything together.
Yeah.
Your pardon. What do you do everything together? No. Yeah. So I think that you need to set just some of those guidelines. You don't change in each other's presence. You know, keep those normal boundaries that you would have kept with any other guy. Just keep them in place. Just keep them in place. Yeah, eating together. Listen, give him his plate. Have your plate. You don't have to eat from the same plate. Because all those things are signs of intimacy.
Yeah.
Or they generate something. Yeah.
Because I think I've heard so many instances where, you know, like the lady sort of feel, okay, now my bestie likes me, and then our bestie falls in love with another girl.
And it's a major crisis.
Yes, it's a huge mix-up now. And the girl feels like, oh, I was cooking for you. I came to wash your clothes. You never told me about this other girl. He feels you were doing this as a Christian sister.
So my question for you, Christian sisters, why are you washing his clothes?
I'm the bestie.
Oh no! Come on. You have female friends who are your besties as well. You don't go washing their clothes.
Yeah.
You see, all those things there, they are a sign of a certain kind of intimacy, you know? And that's why when you cross those boundaries, you run into trouble. You see, you run into trouble. He's just your friend. He's a good friend, but a friend. And listen, when you get married and you start washing those clothes, I've been married for 33 years. The things I've been washing them for 33 years. There ain't no break. Don't start before time. I don't know why you're in a hurry. When you start washing, I mean, as I'm speaking, I have a bucket full waiting for me there. You know?
Oh my
goodness gracious. You know, and these are things that can give you. You're gonna wash and wash and wash. Why are you in a hurry?
Maybe they want to start early so they can prep themselves for the things ahead.
Hey, wash your own. What do you have enough?
Oh my. So now they move into that phase where now the boy just keeps hurting them. Or sometimes they even feel too close up to allow another person into their space because they have a best friend. And so they end up living a long time. They end up living single for a very long time. And now they realize that I'm way behind time. My bestie seems not to be asking me out. And I have to move on. It gets really bad.
People didn't come because they thought that there was something there. So they didn't come. You just block space, you see?
Yeah, exactly.
Just a couple of days ago, I was telling a young lady, I said, if the guy didn't ask, if he didn't ask with words, if he didn't say something clearly, you shouldn't have thought you were in a relationship. Now the guy has said something to me and you're hurt, and you're hurting, really hurting. But the guy didn't say anything, you see? He didn't say anything. So you were not dating.
That's the truth. I think a lot of us are human relationships now. The guy hasn't asked, but we assume that, that is our boyfriend. And they ask me, he says, she's just a friend.
Honestly, a word to the brothers. I also think you should also stop. I mean, if you didn't have any intent, you two don't draw so close. Because the time is on both sides. The girl thinks that, if I'm nice, I'm showing myself that I'm nice. I'm not a proud girl. You need a few errands done, I'll do it. And that's even why she ends up washing for you. Because if I was your sister, I would do so, and things like that. And she begins to like you. And she's hoping that you also like her back, and you can see that she has a good character. And then you're also working nicely and closely with her and saying things. You see, saying things. You sent her text, oh, how's my darling? I mean, how you do? So you haven't asked anything, but you're saying things, and you are making her really think that, I mean, there's hope. And then after the blue, you say, hey, I was going to tell you something. Oh, I've seen a certain sister that I really like. And then, hey, there's a crisis.
True. What if the guy says that, oh, I just want to give myself some time to get to know her before I ask her out? And at the same time, I want to sort of book her for myself. It's like booking for a room in a hotel. So I want to book for the room days ahead of time. But I don't want to have the room now. I don't want to stay in now. What should ladies do about that?
If you can't stay in the room now, then don't book. Don't talk the place. Don't book it. You see,
and now they're doing all sorts of things, though.
Oh, it's very sad, though. It's very sad. I think that, you know, one of the things that the Christian environment gives us are a lot of good friends. If you're in the same church, the same fellowship, you're doing things together. So let those friendships be healthy friendships, but you're a group. When you're going out with a group of you, when you're studying with you, you're still spending a lot of time together. You're still able to see how the person is, getting to know the person, but you haven't compromised yourself yet. But all, you know, two of you alone, oh, please. It can be very wild, though. It can be very, very serious.
That's so true. And now, let's move into the area of relationships, where people now begin to say that, okay, I have a best friend. I had a best friend before you came in, and he's a male. And he will still be my best friend even though you are here. So you are my beloved, but he is my best friend. Should that be allowed in a relationship? Because I've heard that ruin a lot of people's relationships.
It's going to spoil it. It's going to spoil it. Definitely, it's going to spoil it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you move into a relationship, all the friends that you have need to take cognizance of the fact that you now have a relationship. So, for instance, even with your girlfriends, you're a girl, you have other girlfriends, you are doing so many things together. They need to understand that now you have a relationship and you're going to have some time with this guy. They shouldn't expect to be in everything that you do and in your face. So it's all the more so when there's another guy. You see, like this bestie that you have, it's all the more so. You cannot be together so much and then say that, oh, I also have. And you know, the girls who say this and who have this other guy there, when the guy, if it's their beloved who has another girl that close, they can't take it. They can't take it at all. It's now a big crisis. Yeah, they won't. They won't take it at all. So you should think about it. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you think that you can help this guy, he too should keep his friends very close. And spend time with them and go out with them, and you shouldn't complain. But you see that we can't take it all. We can't.
Yeah, we can't. So I heard of a story where this lady started going out with this guy, and she already had this bestie. They've been besties since daycare.
Okay.
So they started going out like 3 months, and the guy noticed that every time he has to go out with a girl, the guy has to ask her bestie if she could go.
Hey.
So yes.
I would like permission.
Permission. So the guy noticed that kept happening because she'd be like, oh, I have to check if I don't have any plans to go with Kwame. Say Kwame is the bestie. I have to check if I don't have any plans with Kwame, or if Kwame doesn't have anything to do, then we can go. The guy now felt like, is it me or Kwame? He said, before you came, Kwame was there. Kwame has been my best friend. What Kwame can do, you do not do. So the guy felt really insulted as a person, as a man, and said that it's either you choose me or you choose Kwame. The girl said that if you have me to choose between me and my bestie, then you have to go. And the girl came back to the guy, to her boyfriend, begging him, that, oh, I'm really sorry, this that you need to understand the place of my bestie. And unfortunately for them, they got married. So the lady got married to her boyfriend, and the bestie was still there. And later on, I think about 2 years later, into their marriage, they had to divorce because the lady was still picking on the same, he's my bestie, and this bestie wasn't getting married. And this bestie was all over. The guy would come back from work. Bestie is with his wife. They are playing maybe something on TV. And it was that bad. And that's how bad she took bestie from a JHS level all the way into marriage. And she got divorced at the end. And now that bestie, after a few months, got married to someone else.
Ouch.
And it broke the girl.
Ouch.
So,
ouch. Oh, this one is really bizarre.
Yeah, very, 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 very.
Wow.
And it was so bad that she used to cohabitate with her bestie in school. So in university, they were sleeping in the same room. She used to change in front of him. So she was so liberal around him. And her husband had an issue with it, that for her, that's my bestie. He's been there. He has seen my nakedness so many times, but we've never had anything together. And the man realized that even after 2 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised the husband didn't with it as reason. I'm surprised he married her with the bestie. I said, I'm surprised her boyfriend married her with the bestie there if it was that close.
I think this was a real Yeah, very.
She deserves to be alone and crying. And I'm sure bestie went off with his wife and didn't mind her cry.
I'm telling you. And was encouraging her that it will be well. And right now the lady has to just move on. And she wasn't willing to date her bestie too. That was the issue. So then it becomes a thing. Like, how far should you cohabitate with your bestie? Where your bestie can see your nakedness? It's your brother. Even your brother, you can't do that.
Yeah, even your brother, when you get to a certain age, you see that siblings, opposite sex siblings, even at a certain age, they themselves kind of cover up a little. There's nothing like he's my brother, so I strut naked from the bathroom into the, even amongst siblings, there's a little decorum. So I think she went too far. She went too far. Yeah, really went too far. Wow, that's a sad. And I need to pick up on something that you mentioned when you talked about people cohabiting on campus. They say
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, you're going to run into trouble. You're just going to run into trouble one way or the other. Yeah, you're going to run into trouble.
And it's not relationships. Now that's the new thing with the youth now. People in relationships cohabiting, so they are not married, but they're in a relationship. They love each other too much to go and sleep on different beds.
The Bible says, "Can a man keep fire in his bosom and not be burned?" It's going to be burnt. Yeah. You're just going to be burnt. And when they are burnt, it's really, really terrible because you're living together as though you were married when you are not. And I don't think anyone should put themselves in that position. Not the girl, not the guy. See, not the. There's a scripture I just put down because it just occurred to me. 1 Thessalonians 5:22, where it says, "Abstain from all appearance of evil." I believe that we're talking about Christian citizens. And once you're living together, people assume that you're cohabiting. They assume that you're active sexually. They assume anything. You're not married. It's out of order. It's out of order, and it doesn't look good. Yeah.
And aside from cohabitation, what else, or how far shouldn't a couple go so far as they're not married?
Yeah. So far as you're not married, let us now take the scenario where the couple are dating. They're thinking that if all goes well, we're going to get married and so forth. You're going to get married, but you are not married. And so insofar as you're not married, you need to put some boundaries there. Now, it is true that in this generation, people think that the Bible is out of vogue, is out of touch. But we are rewarded for thinking so by all the broken hearts and the broken relationships and the abortions and the children without fathers, all that is because we thought we knew more than God did, So I think that if you're a Christian, let the Bible be your guide. It is not outdated. It is what God intended for you and I. And that is why you go into the relationship believing that you're going to get to know each other. Marry when it is, as soon as you can. Don't keep it going on and on and on and on and on. You will fall into trouble. You see, a couple who are dating or who are a boyfriend and girlfriend who don't know Jesus Christ, I tell you, they're satisfying themselves physically fully. And, so they don't have a problem. But you and I who are Christians, we have a problem. You can only spark that fire so much. That's why Paul said, listen, it's better to marry than to burn. So a burning you will. How long are you going to burn for before you fall into trouble? So number one, try and hold off starting the relationships until there's a little hope in sight that marriage is not too far. So if you start your relationship in SS3, I'm not going to marry now. You will burn now. The chapel will burn out. So try and hold on a little and get a little further. In my church, my church is full of students, and I tell them, listen, you're in first year, second year, I don't need to hear from you about dating. Just don't do it. And I tell them in third year, watch and pray. So as you pray, have one eye open.
Watch and pray.
So that in final year, then you can now say I'm dating, because at least there's a little hope. You'll do that final year, you do national service after that, so you're not in this relationship that goes on forever and ever, amen, And that way you'll be able to keep yourself a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself, first you're starting with kissing, then you're into heavy petting, and after that, there are no other borders, you see. And that's why we try to say, look, listen, just hold yourself, just keep yourself and marry early, Rabbi.
Please marry as soon as possible. Don't let the fire burn too much.
That is it. Don't let it burn until, you see, if you let it keep burning, you see, one of two things can happen. One of the things that can happen is that you fall into sin, and you fall into sin quite fast. That's one thing. But there's another thing that happened, and it actually happened to a couple who were very good friends of myself and my husband, where the relationship had lasted so long that they were so familiar with each other. And they had the kind of situation you described, where I can change if you're there, if you're not there. They kept themselves, they didn't sleep together for a long time. And then they got themselves into a certain situation, and bingo, there we go, you see. And you're devastated that you slept together, but you've gone for it already, you see. And that's because you've gotten too close, too familiar. You were too bestie, no controls, nobody around you, and that was it. Yes. So it's quite a situation. It's quite a situation.
Okay, so how about like a couple that has gotten too familiar that they are already broken the boundaries, they have no set boundaries. What is the way forward for them?
It's a very tough question, because you see, once you have broken that barrier once, it's going to be really something not to do it again. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. So if you've not slept together before, there's a way in which you're cool. But if you break that boundary and you've tasted it, now the mind knows, the eyes can see. You are in it. You are in it. So I'm not saying that, therefore you go and say, well, the pastor, she said, we cannot, this one, we cannot help it. We might as well just enjoy ourselves. We have I don't want to give that impression. What I'm trying to say is that the fight is now going to get harder because you've gone where you shouldn't go. Yeah, you've gone where you shouldn't go. But I want to say to you that just try to clean up your relationship. Decide that, listen, we've walked into trouble. Let us try and come out of it before we get into a real mess. And I think that you need to go back into the scriptures, maybe even read them together, because the Bible talks about the fact that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so you want to keep yourself holy. That's something that should be precious to you. So I want to just reach out to any couple who's listening, who maybe you've already fallen into sin. Recognize it as sin. And with anything that is sin, we ask for forgiveness, and forgiveness is granted. And then go into that Bible, educate yourself. Yeah. Because many people just stay away from those scriptures. They just don't read them. So that I don't have a problem. I didn't know that it was there. But it's the entirety of the Bible that is true. So read the whole thing. And take the measures yourself. Both of you decide, this we will do, this we will not do. You see. What I notice is that many young couples just walk blindly. They don't think and they don't plan. So you are at a space all the time. How will trouble not come? You're actually courting it. I don't know how it will not come, but she's at your place all the time. It's too dicey.
Devoted to him.
Exactly. With all that means, you see, it's all that means. So I think it's a very important thing. Yeah, put down the things you will not do. We won't be together in this particular place alone, but we won't be together beyond this amount of time or this amount of space. Just don't test yourselves too much. You see.
Be intentional. So someone has a question here. Let me put it up on the screen.
All right.
It says, what if you wait? You both like each other. Does that mean you have to stay exclusive to each other?
What? I'm not sure I get it fully.
Okay,
You're
so
waiting. Yeah.
you're waiting. Both of you are waiting and you like each other. Doesn't mean you have to stay exclusive to each other.
Well,
so you're not
again,
in a relationship yet.
You're not in a relationship yet, but you think that you like each other. Well, one of the things about Christians is that we don't go around having relationships for the sake of it. So if you're hoping that this is the person, hold on, just allow time to pass. Just allow time to pass. Because, I mean, are you going to therefore move on to somebody else? What exactly are you going to do? But hold on, trust God if you really do trust Him. And just be sure. You see, and one of the things I'll tell you, Abna, is that when you have a good platonic relationship, platonic meaning that there's no intimacy or beyond, you can actually build a very, very good friendship, which when you eventually get into a relationship, it will hold you far. That of friendship
but lots of us don't like that now.
It's a pity.
We don't like the platonic. We want to move straight.
Yeah, they don't like it. It's platonic, but then you also have a lot of divorces that we are seeing.
Yes.
And a lot of relationships that are breaking. Are you seeing it? And so maybe they need to take this portion. I have had young boys come to me and say, oh, she's my friend. Oh, I cannot have her as my beloved. And I'm like, it's not your friend who should be your beloved. You know the girl, you know how she is. You know, your friends, you talk. Listen, after all the stars are gone and after you've gone on your honeymoon and you've landed back here on earth, what is left is friendship. So if you didn't have it, I don't know what you're doing or what's keeping you after that. So there's a lot to say about a good friendship, even before you become beloveds, you see. I think it's a very, very important thing. Unfortunately, many people think it's not important, you see. But after a while, as for these physical fires, I believe me to be, after they can't keep you for very long. They'll keep you for a while, but not that long.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, how long would you advise to date before marriage?
Before marriage. Well, there's a balance of things here. Because I would say that sometimes it varies. Why am I saying this? If you are somebody who's in school, he's also in school, you can give yourself a good 2-3 years. Listen, from the day you get into the relationship, even if you say that we want to get married, it's going to take you another year to pull yourselves together. So you're getting to know each other for a year. Then the next year, you're kind of getting to put your things together. And then 2.5 years, something like that, you're marrying. The reason why I said it varies is that we do also have some situations where a couple is getting on in years a little bit. 29, 30, 31. You might want to say, listen, we're not children anymore. We want to get married. We're growing. We also need to have children within a good time. We don't have 3 years to come and add. I'm 29, 30, 31. Oh, come on. So once you prayed about it, you're reasonably sure, kind of know the person is cool. And try to get a lot of character references on each other. You should have a pastor or somebody who can tell you a little bit, vouch for the person. Say something about the person so that you have a little more idea of what you're getting into.
Okay.
Before I take the next question, I wanted to just bring up one more contentious point, and that is your closeness to an ex.
It's important.
Yeah, that one. I don't know how they say it in Tree, but the guys we say Laimomo. The old charcoal, it picks the fire, the old firewood. That's Laimomo. If you put fire,
their ex are their besties though.
Aha!
Their ex are their besties.
Oh, this one there. If actually is gone of the fire is gone of there. An X
Jesus.
is exactly that. EX, an X. Allow the X to be an X.
To be an
He's not
ex.
your friend. He's not your friend, let alone your bestie. He's your X. EX. Past X. And he should stay there.
Ex.
Or she should stay there. You know, I've met people say, oh, the person's my friend. Oh, you're chatting with your ex. Okay. All right. All right. It's just a matter of time.
So I was just thinking, Dr. Joy, so in an instance where a lady is waiting for a guy to propose.
Yeah.
But the guy just doesn't seem to catch the vibe that this lady is in love. You know, we have some of these Christian brothers who are just praying, but they're not watching.
Oh my God.
And and this Christian sister is waiting for this guy to propose. She has been waiting for almost 2 years. They're pretty close. You know, they do a lot of things together, but he hasn't noticed. What should the Christian sister do? If, let's say, there are other guys in that line waiting for her to also say a yes, but this other guy just can't open his mouth. Maybe he knows, but he's too timid to say it. Should she go ahead and say something to him? What is too close for comfort in this case?
You know, you're asking a real question. I mean, there are situations where the sister gets up and then she eventually proposes because she was waiting for the guy and he wasn't saying anything. I've been a pastor for some years and I really don't ascribe to that. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When they get married, this guy who had POP on his mouth and couldn't talk before you married, after you married, the POP is broken. He will be talking. The day will come when he will tell you, listen, I didn't marry you. I didn't invite you. You brought yourself. I didn't miss you. You know, so
oh my.
Yeah, and it's usually very painful circumstances, you know? Very, very painful circumstances. God created the man to be the hunter, not the woman. And when you switch the roles around, you get something you didn't bargain for.
Okay.
So what I would advise you to do is to look for somebody who is a little sober, a little sensible, who has a little bit of, what should I call it? I'm looking for a word. I don't have a word. But you see, I have people who have come to talk to me about things like this. And I've had situations where I've called the guy and said, brother, you better open your mouth and talk. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't know I'm saying it because the young lady has told me that she likes it.
Okay.
You need to have a go-between of sorts who is also very, very discreet and who will keep it to themselves. You see, there are couples I know who are married today who don't know that I was the one who brought them together.
Okay.
I have a young friend or whatever, and I've found a way to get it there. Other times, there are some I have appealed to their friends. They have other male friends, and I've gone to those male friends, maybe because they were closer to me, and I've said to them, listen, talk to this friend of yours. Tell him to get moving. Tell him that he should move now. Things like that. So just find, and I'm not alone in this world like that. Quite a number of people, So find somebody who really flows with young people, but the word there is discretion. The person must be discreet. Yeah, the person must be discreet. It must never, ever, ever come out that you were the one who suggested that the gentleman should go and speak, etc., etc. It should never be. Yeah. So that's the secret that you carry. Yeah.
Okay. You also made mention of a point where you spoke about. It's almost escaping me. Oh my. Okay, it will come back, I'm sure. We have some questions here. I really want to ask that question. Oh my. Okay. So it says, where do your parents come into your relationship? When you are sure it will lead to marriage, or just when you started dating? I can't see the rest of the question though.
Yeah, I can't see the rest of the question either, but I think that I would answer it by saying that your parents come in when you begin to think that this is someone you want to settle down with. This is somebody who you think is a good candidate for marriage. Don't go in there too early. If you go to your parents too early and it doesn't work out, you may have a problem.
Okay.
exactly. You may have a problem. When I say you have a problem, remember that your parents are human too. And so if you keep on coming, I think it's this one, then it breaks down. Then you go and you come back and say, oh, I think it's this one, and then it breaks down. And it becomes
Okay.
a worrisome situation. So you hold on a little while. Having said that, if you know that you're going into some kind of circumstance, there's some things that you need to know which way your parents would um would I you need to know your parents' wishes. For instance, we are one nation, but we're made up of tribes. And there are people who come from one tribe, and say, we don't marry this other tribe. Sometimes you
My
need
next
to
question was going to that angle. Yeah.
you just need to check it out before you get too deep in there. Just check
Okay.
it out, and
So
see
what if
which
your parents do not agree that you marry that tribe, and that is the only reason why they don't agree, and everything else seems to be fine, and you're truly in love with the guy, and in fact, all the guys you are falling in love with are from that tribe? What do you do?
What do you do? It's a very good question, Dr. Abner, because there are two schools of thought. There are some people who say, because of that, break it up, don't go that way. And I understand where they're coming from, because at least within the Christian world, we really want to have your parents' consent. I have to say, however, that I also have seen situations in which the couple has prayed until their parents change their mind. Yeah, I did the first 15 years of ministry with my husband. We were up in the north, and because there's a lot of tribalism, north to south, south to north, and the north, they feel that the southern men do not respect them, or southerners don't respect them, and that comes into the marriage thing a lot. So because of that, you would have one party from the north, the other from the south, and immediately we know that we're walking into a problem. But in many, many, many instances, as we prayed, they kind of took that individual as an individual, and the marriages came on. Sometimes it was differences of religion. You're going to marry a guy the guy is Christian, but his family is Muslim.
Okay.
You get it? So the family is objecting on the basis of the religious differences. And we saw many situations like that where, as we prayed, the family just changed their mind and said, well, this one, we accept it. This one seems to be different. Yeah.
So someone says, ever life, and that just made me laugh. I remember the question I was trying to ask you before.
Great.
So you made mention of a very important point, that you should do some check with the person you're in a relationship with. I've also heard of an instance where the lady did a check, and from the guy's friends, the guy seemed like a good person, but from what she was experiencing with him, he was the opposite of what everyone else was saying. So from her experience, the guy didn't seem so godly like everyone made him look like. And he was too quick-tempered. He was too quick to even want to hit her and all of that. He would try to force her, and always would ask her for sex, and she would always decline. And this is a Christian brother, so strong in the faith, according to all his friends. But from what she's experiencing, the direct opposite.
But if you're already experiencing something negative, you don't need anybody else's character reference. You don't need it. You're seeing it. If he's trying to hit you before you are even married, you can be sure that when you're married, it's going to happen. If he's trying to force you to have sex, you can see that you're dealing with somebody who doesn't even really believe in the word of God as he claims. So you don't really need any other character reference. The time to use the character reference is when it's looking good. And everything is looking okay. And everything is looking perfect. That's when you're looking for a character reference to know if there's something there that you don't know.
You are not seeing.
Yeah, something you're not seeing. And you can take a lot of cues. For instance, one of the greatest cues you can use, how does that guy treat his mother?
Okay.
The way he treats his mother is the way he's going to treat you. Right now, you're his beloved. You're going to become his wife. If he neglects his mother, he will neglect you. It's just a matter of time. If he's kind to his mother, he's going to be kind to you, roughly speaking. Of course, other things can happen, but that's one of the very good leads. One of the very, very good leads.
Okay. So, back to that bit of my question, where this guy who was a Christian brother, probably the MD. I'm sorry for using MDs today. Probably the MD. But the MD is asking you for sex every time.
Get out of
and
the
he's a
relationship.
beloved.
Get out of it. You're not married to him. Get out. Just get out. The same way you got in, get out. You said yes, now say no. Get
Sometimes
out.
we ladies, we want to pray for them so they change. We want to pray their sex desire out.
You are looking
for
trouble. Hey. Hey. And if the guy is given to college, these days he overpower you. How much strength do you have? You know.
Yeah.
So just get out.
Yeah.
Just get out. Yeah, just get out.
Someone says,
it's
what if
enough
the guy's mother is dead? How do you know how he treats his mother?
So then the question doesn't arise. But you see, I'm just giving you that as one example. My husband has another one. He says that never marry a man who kicks a dog. Yeah, and he has a reason. He says that the dog is just, you know, it's a helpless animal. It's dependent on you to feed it. It's dependent on you to care for it. And if when it is dependent on you, you can just, you know, let's say you're passing, you kick the dog out of the way. It shows what you will do with those who are under you. And you, the wife, you are going to be subordinate to the man. Doesn't matter what you are saying, or you know, those of us who like degrees, doesn't matter how many of them you pack on. When you get to the house, the guy's the head of the house, if you believe your Bible. So you can see what's going to happen to you. Yeah.
True. Okay, we have some more questions.
Okay.
Please, which will you advise? To pray before you pursue, or to pray after you are pursued?
Pray before. After you are pursued, you won't hear anything.
I'm telling you. Okay, another question.
When your heart goes, you're not going to, you won't hear anything.
So the person asked the other question says the last bit was because some people end up introducing 3 to 5 girls or boys to their parents, which I don't think paints a good picture. So she was asking if it was right. I think you've already answered that question.
Yeah, hold on a little. Yeah. Be a little sure. Be a little sure that this is going somewhere.
Yeah. So another question says, when you break up, is it okay to go to the person your partner feels was a threat?
Is that why you broke up?
Yes. So I think after you've broken up. So your partner probably felt the person X was a threat. Is it okay to go to that person who was a threat?
Sometimes that person means that he probably was a threat. Yeah, it's possible you were denying all along. There's nothing between us. It's not like that. He probably was a threat.
What if you fell in love afterwards? What he was there for you after the guy left?
If it is in the past, if it's in the past, no problem. But just think about what you're doing a little. And sometimes you need to give some things time and space, a little time and a little space. Yeah. You know, so for instance, if your friend and her beloved break up, and then you want to go into a relationship with that guy, you got to give it some space.
Yeah.
And some time. Yeah, don't just, you know.
But you think that is okay? So they'll say that you've broken the girl code. So I have a best friend, and I break up with my beloved, and then 2 or 3 years later, she's going out with him, and they get married. Should that be okay as a Christian sister?
But we're not done with the relationship. Why not? Yeah, if you're done with it, I mean, you're done. You're done. Yeah, you're done. You know, yeah, you're done with it. So why not?
Because a lot of us have so many hard feelings concerning that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You see, it has a lot to do with, was it because that person was around? Is that why you broke up? But if that's not why you broke up, then there's no problem. If it's 2 or 3 years down the line, it's a non-point. Because you've moved on. When you break up with somebody, please move on with your life. Don't hold strings. Don't hold things that you don't need to have. You've broken up. Move on. You see. You know, something that you're bored about, it means you've not fully moved on with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And of course, if the person treated you really badly and your friend is aware, and then she now goes for it, it's up to her. I can see a question here as well.
Yeah, there's another question. It says, what do you do when your partner feels threatened about your marriage?
Your partner is so insecure. First of all, what do you mean by your male friends? Is it male friends in general? You shouldn't have any male friends. Then please, the guy is too insecure. I think you should find yourself somebody else. Because that insecurity is not going to go away. This is the kind of person who's going to be, it's going to be a problem. You're working, your boss is a man, it will be an issue. You're working, you're sharing your office with a guy, it will be a problem. He sees coming for you, sees you talking to a friend, and then you're on the way, hey, Charlie, please. He should grow up. He's too insecure. Yeah, he's too insecure.
Too much. Some of them get so insecure even to the point of being insecure about their siblings. So they have their beloved even speak to their siblings, and they're so upset. Why are you talking to your brother?
Hey, Messi. But that one is serious. The person's not well. Yeah. Hey, this is why you're not well at all. Hey, what is that?
It's not well. Oh, we have just about 3 more minutes.
Wow.
I'm just enjoying the session. I don't want it to end. There are more and more questions coming in. And someone said, okay, is it okay to marry before completing your master's? In fact, should one marry when she or he is in school?
But is it okay? If you ask me the question, I'm guilty as charged because I got married the year I was going to start my master's. And then I had my first baby before I started my PhD, and I had my second baby right in the middle. So please, you're talking to your ethicist already.
Oh, wow.
Just that, it's okay. Just that you should know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Another question too. It says, at what stage of friendship do you make a proposal?
When you're sure that you want to go with a person. Just be shy. I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. But when you begin to think that this is my friend, and I'm beginning to think that a relationship may work, don't drag it on for too long. Don't rush. But, propose. I'm assuming, of course, that you are of propose-worthy age.
But what if, sometimes people get to that point where they, especially for men, they actually want to be sure that they will say yes before they propose. And so they are still not certain.
There's always a way to find out if she'll say yes. There's always a way. Remember that discreet individual. There's always a way to find out. Is she going to say yes? They'll find out for you. Yeah. And that's why, as a guy, you also need to have good friends, good female friends as well. And be friends with the girl's friends, They'll tell you a lot of things. Yeah, they'll tell you a lot. Of course, you can also have the situation where one of them is jealous and tells you the wrong thing.
That's one bad friend.
But check with your friend. I think generally you can find that. You'll know.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I just have 2 minutes more remaining. I'd like to save the video. So can we come back live again so we can answer the rest of the questions before we call it a night? Would it be okay?
Sorry, come again. You'd like to?
We have just about less than 2 minutes. And would you like us to come back live again so we can ask the rest of the questions and we call it a night? Would it be okay with you, please?
Okay, maybe a few more minutes is fine.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'll call you right back and then we can ask the rest of the questions.
Okay, I hear you. God bless.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So guys, we'll be right back.